It all starts with the Marvel intro, but out of nowhere, the logo goes dark and is consumed by the void somewhere in Asia. Yelena was saying that her life has no meaning. It's boring, and maybe it's been like this since her sister's death. She hasn't had a fixed direction in life for a long time. At least she tries to fill her life with work or some hobby. She's in charge of cleaning up the trash, eliminating certain global threats for someone important. While hitting and killing a few guards, she was talking to one of them. The guard fell asleep, and Yelena asked him to stay alert since she still needed him and was telling him something important. Today she has to enter a vault and destroy important material from the Roxxon company, and for that she needs facial recognition. At that moment she notices there was a test guinea pig, and having no way to open the vault, Yelena was going to detonate it. Maybe it will destroy the building, or maybe not. Anyway, a scientist arrives at the place and he knew why Yelena was there. He tells her that Valentina Allegra de Fontaine knows how dangerous the Sentry project is, and the best thing is for her to stop. Yelena knew what he was going to say, and that the Roxxon company is a company that wants to save the world, wants to do good things, but they still fail. Yelena tries to grab her gun, but the scientist defends himself and accidentally kills the guard. Yelena tries to move him and asks him to say his last words. He tells her that the Sentry project is dangerous and accidentally shoots himself in the head. Now she has no way to enter the vault. With no other option, Yelena will destroy the place, but not before taking the guinea pig. Her contact calls her and tells her that the mission was a success. Meanwhile, in DC, journalists were asking Congressman Barnes what he thought about the removal of Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. He explains that Valentina is a bad person, and they will look for all the sufficient evidence to lock her up. Despite wanting to do good, he still doesn't have the tact or the right way to speak to the media. Congressman Gary begins the trial, saying that they are here to indict Mrs. de Fontaine, but Valentina corrects him and tells him that her last name is de Fontaine, not Fontaine, so she asks him to learn her last name. Anyway, Gary wanted Valentina to give her defense, as there are thousands of pieces of evidence incriminating her, and she is also associated with the Roxxon company, a company dedicated to shady business, experiments on people, and other things. Furthermore, they wanted to create their own super soldiers. Valentina defends herself and tells him that the last president she knew became a red monster, and the Avengers will no longer come, and not all the charges against her are true. She did try to create super soldiers with capable people who want to do good. The world is defenseless, and the Avengers are scattered. At any moment an attack will begin, and they won't be here to defend them, so they can investigate all they want because she knows she will win and get away with it. Gary asks her if she doesn't mind them continuing the investigation. Valentina told him no, but she thought the opposite. She was nervous, so she was eliminating all traces of the Roxxon company. Her secretary Mel informs her that few assassins have finished their missions, except for one, who at least didn't complete it, so Valentina wanted to know where she was. At Alexei's house, he was watching videos of his old glories, in which old Russia held parades for him. Someone rang the doorbell, and it turned out to be Yelena. He quickly gets dressed, throws out his trash, and Yelena discovers that her father now runs a limousine business. Alexei is happy to see his daughter and gives her some whiskey. She asks him how he was doing, and he said that the business was going well, he's always busy, always has work, and now lives in a good place. Yelena tells him that she now works with Valentin. Alexei misunderstands the situation and thought Yelena wanted the help of the Great Red Guardian. But Yelena tells him no, she just wants to visit him to see how he was. Besides, she feels empty and no longer likes working with Valentina. Alexei tells her that he would give anything to work with her. But well, he understands how she feels, and tells her that maybe it's time to follow the same steps as her sister. She should take another path. On his shelf, Yelena sees that Alexei had photos of his old soccer team, the Thunderbolts. Her dad prepares something for her to eat, and Yelena reports in, saying she had something else to do, which is why she wasn't present. Val doesn't care and had a mission for her, and Yelena hopes this will be the last one. She no longer likes that life and wants to start from scratch. Val promises to fulfill her whim, so she must go to an old base in the desert. A Roxxon headquarters is located here. That day an assassin will go and she must kill her. After that she can start over. Going down in an elevator, Yelena was looking for Ghost, but upon entering she finds a room full of trinkets. On one of these tables she finds photographs of a recent project, the Sentry project. She kept the documents, and at that moment, US agent fights against her. She tells him that he wasn't her target, but she was his. Taskmaster appears and fights Walker, telling him that he didn't come here to kill her. Let's see if you missed it. Yelena came to kill Ghost, Ghost came to kill Taskmaster, Taskmaster came to kill US Agent, and US Agent came to kill Yelena. In the end, while they were fighting among themselves, they open an old box where one of the volunteers of the Sentry Project was located. In the process, Taskmaster dies from a gunshot to the head, and when Bob wanted to leave, the place closes, and everyone wondered how he got there. That night, Valentina was throwing a party with which she tried to win over the public and presented old relics of the Avengers, such as a Chitauri spouse, Loki's scepter, and other things that are not seen. Congressman Gary mocks her and tells her that it's very curious that she wants to do something like this to win people over. She must be very desperate, but Val says she is innocent, and he knows this. If she weren't, he wouldn't be there. At the party was Bucky, and he talks to Valentina's assistant Mel, but she knew why he was talking to her. He wants to convince her to betray Val. He was an assassin before. Now he wants to do something better, so he gives her his card. At the base, everyone was asking who Bucky was and how he got here. He doesn't remember anything and doesn't know who sent him. Ghost tries to leave, but Yelena stops him. In the end, the group realizes what was happening. All of them are Val's assassins and work for her. The thing is, they are the last witnesses of Val's shady dealings, so she brought them here to eliminate them. None of those present trusted each other. Walker even more so. He couldn't trust a former S.H.I.E.L.D. assassin and another Red Room assassin. Both girls mock him, saying that he will always be the pirate version of Captain America. Bob, he joins the conversation and laughs. Walker said that all this is very curious. He still doesn't understand how Bob is here. When Ghost wanted to leave, the door emitted such a loud sound that it prevented them from escaping. Returning to the party, Bucky talks to Gary, who takes him to a place off camera and tells him that he was close to being able to stop Val. Gary asks him to trust the contributors. They already have evidence to stop her. At the same time, Mel informs Val that the assassins she had hired were gathered, so the best thing was to eliminate them. Mel asks her if she was sure, and Val takes the tablet and does it herself. While Taskmaster's weapons were being stolen, the room starts a countdown. They only have 2 minutes to get out. The group decides to work together, looking for a way to deactivate the door. While they were looking for the switch, Walker finds Bob's capsule. Seconds later, Yelena finds the switch, and Walker destroys it with his shield. In the end, Ghost opens the door for them, and everyone escapes. Yelena falls unconscious and has a past memory, her first mission. She had to kill her friend Anya. This death is torture for her, as Anya was her first victim, but in her memory Bob appears, and upon waking up, she asks him how he was. While they were traveling, Mel tells her she had bad news to tell her. Valentina jokingly says that her assassins had joined forces, and this was true. Now they all work together, and upon reviewing the cameras, Val was asking who the guy accompanying them was, but no one knew who he was, so she asks Mel to find Holly and kill them all. All this was overheard by Alexei, as he was working as a driver at the prison today. Walker was tense and wanted answers. He tells them that he remembers the experiments they did on him, but he was always asleep. Maybe he's a villain and is just acting. He mocks Walker and tells him that he can't be Captain America because Captain America is a good person, while he is an idiot. When Walker pushes him, his eyes change color, and Yelena separates them and asks them to calm down. He tells her that he prefers to stay in this place, as the emptiness he feels in his body calms down here. An endless emptiness that he doesn't know how to overcome. His problems and negative feelings are here. So he asks her how he can overcome the emptiness, and Yelena tells him that the less he thinks about it, the faster he will heal from his problems. Walker makes a crack in the wall, and the four decide to escape. She promises him that everything will be alright, and at his house, Bucky read Gary's agreements. At that moment, Mel calls and tells her that she had problems. Knowing that the Thunderbolts are alive, they will be able to incriminate her, and she could be imprisoned, so she wants to work with Bucky. She asks him to take care of her, so to find out more, she asks him to hack her phone. But Bucky assures her that he no longer does that kind of thing. Entering the elevator, Yelena asked if anyone could fly. Walker tried to escape but was unsuccessful, so they asked Ghost if she could go through the stones and escape. But she can't stay for more than 10 minutes. So Bob wants to do the same thing that Pacha and Cusco did in the Emperor's New Groove and climb the walls. While they were going up, they said they had the worst childhood in the world. Bob had family use, Ghost was always in the lab, while Yelena was raised as an assassin from a young age. Walker tells them that Yelena is not entirely innocent. No one taught her that killing was wrong, so she can't feel bad. While they were flying to the base, Val discovers that Bob was part of the Sentry project. Apparently, he had died, but for some strange reason, he is alive. Upon reaching the elevator door, the group didn't know how to enter. Bob wants to sneeze, and to avoid doing so, he must say pickles. Walker acts quickly, takes a staff from Yelena, and manages to open the door. The rest, luckily, are saved. Walker helped them up, and we see a past memory. Walker always said that he had a happy family and everything was going well for him and that they shouldn't compare themselves to him. But all this was not true. He hadn't overcome what he did and what he was. On one occasion he had to take care of his son, and instead of attending to him, he ignored him. Upon exiting, they discover that they are surrounded, so they must find a way to escape. Ghost flees the place while John said they should trust him. But no one did, and Yelena suggests using some bombs and defeating the soldiers, then blinding them and using their uniforms to escape. Holly arrives at the base and asks her not to kill Bob, but she had ways to kill everyone. While they were looking for the lights, Bob was talking to Yelena. Upon wanting to turn them on, the lights don't activate. Walker decides to act on his own and attacks the military. Both Yelena and Bob manage to escape the place, and she gives him a weapon to defend himself, but he didn't know how to use it. In the end, John appears, and he had disguised himself as a soldier. He knew that more reinforcements would enter, so it's best to be careful, put on the suits, and get out of this place. While they were leaving, the trio sees Val. For now, they must steal a car, and at that moment, Ghost appears. The trio put Bob in the back seats, and when they wanted to leave, a soldier stops them and asks them to take off their masks. John doesn't obey, and the soldiers want to shoot him. But at that moment, Bob buys some time for his new friends to escape. The soldiers shoot him, and Bob gets up, but he didn't know what he had. He starts to fly, and the group notices this. Upon reaching a high area, Bob faints. Val wanted them to look for him and bring him before her, but at that moment, Bob descends and incapacitates the group's car. While they were leaving, the group wondered what Bob was, and Yelena takes out the papers and shows them that Bob was part of a project, a super soldier project called Sentry, the strongest hero in the world with the power of 1,000 suns. Walker knew about this project and how dangerous it was. They, despite not knowing Bob, the best thing would be to look for him and not let Val manipulate him. The trio promises to continue together and must return to the city. Walker buys them a tuna, and in the morning, a special team takes Bob away. Val orders Mel to find scientists and take Bob to the headquarters in New York. But Mel reminds her that this place is incomplete. She asks her to fix it as soon as possible and fulfill her demands. While walking through the desert, Red Guardian goes in search of his daughter. He was there to save his little Yelena, feeling ashamed, and tells her that Valentina wanted to kill them. He hadn't slept all night and had found her despite not having had action in a long time. Alexei knew who Ghost and US Agent were. Alexei baptizes this group as the Thunderbolts, a strong and useful group that could lead everyone to glory and make them bring out the best in themselves. At that moment, 2 military vehicles attack them. Yelena asks him to go faster, but this limousine couldn't go more than 50 kilometers per hour. Alexei makes a homemade Untov, but his plan doesn't last long. Ghost wants to help them but is immobilized, and Yelena uses her gun, but someone destroys the cars in the distance. The Winter Soldier appears and incapacitates both cars. The group is happy about this great feat, but their happiness ends when Bucky destroys the car. Upon arriving at the old Avengers Tower, Valentina wanted to talk to Bob. Mel asks her to reconsider things. Bob is not a good person, has many mental problems, and will be difficult to control, but Valentina doesn't pay attention. Upon waking up, she introduces herself and tells him that with her help, he will be great, he will become the best hero of all. Furthermore, she knows who he is, knows what he went through, the good and the bad, including his history with his father. But when she touches his hand, Valentina has a memory of her childhood. Her father was involved with bad company, and in the end, one of his companions killed him. This person, after shooting him, promised to take care of his daughter. Valentina was scared and leaves the place. Bob tells her that he can control this evil, so she shouldn't worry. This makes Valentina happy, so now she wants Mel to get stylists and costume designers. Mel asks her again to reconsider the situation. When Steve Rogers received the serum, he became a great hero because he was a great person with many good values. In contrast, someone as unstable as Bob is dangerous, But Val still doesn't pay attention and tells her that they will show people their new hero, and she will no longer be removed from her position. Returning to the Thunderbolts, Bucky had them tied up. He thought they worked for Valentina, so he will take them before the rest of the congressmen, and they were going to testify against Val. The group laughs and tells him about Bucky and the Sentry Project, but Bucky didn't believe them and didn't know about the project either. Walker mocks him and tells him that they already know each other and that he knows Walker is a good person. Bucky didn't deny this, but he also knew that Walker is a very unstable person, and that's why his wife and son left him. At that moment, Mel calls him and tells him that Val is crazy. She is working with the last survivor of the Sentry Project, Bucky. These words make Bucky trust the group, and before hanging up, he asks him to take charge. Bucky knew that they had potential and could do great things. At least this way they atone for their sins. If they do nothing today, many people will be hurt, so the best thing is to join and be part of this group. Alexei was happy, but when Mel returns to Valentina, she was waiting for her and tells her that she is a good girl. But there are two types of people who can remain or be. People who are good, or people who change the world. There are good people who save the innocent. And then there's the rest who, despite knowing they are doing evil, try to reshape the world in their own image. So she asks her which group she wants to be a part of. She leaves, and here we see that she had created a device to neutralize Bob. Moments later, she trains him and tells him that he is strong and capable. Now he will train regularly to discover his powers. While traveling, Walker told the girls about his gun and his helmet. He doesn't like the helmet much, but he still uses it. Meanwhile, Alexei asks him what kind of serum he used, to which Bucky tells him he used one from Hydra. Now, what will be the plan they carry out upon arriving at headquarters? But the plan was to curse everyone who moves. The fight is interrupted by Val. She asks them to stop fighting and go upstairs. Upon doing so, she said it's curious that so many battles have taken place in this location. The place wasn't cheap, but it was good. With enough evidence, Bucky will lock him up. Val mocks him, saying he's here because he missed his old glories. Then she mocks Walker, calling him Captain America II, and then continues with Yelena, telling her she looked pretty, but she asks her to leave, and upon seeing Alexei, she asks who he was. He introduces himself as Alexei, the Red Guardian, but she didn't know who he was. They make it clear that they were there for Bob, and wanted to lock her up. When Bucky wanted to touch her, he couldn't. Bob uses his force field to protect Val. Now he is different. He had even dyed his hair. Valentina said that now Sentry was going to kill them, and she will present him as the strongest Avenger and them as the true villains of the Roxxon Company. So she asks Sentry to fulfill her order. Bob asks them to surrender. He didn't want to hit them since they are his friends, and Yelena asks him to stop because she wants to protect him from Val. In the end, the group said they would fight, but every attack they gave him was repelled. He is strong, agile, invulnerable. Nothing hurts him. He even easily bends Walker's shield and takes Bucky's arm off. The group barely gets up and escapes. Val orders Bob to kill them, but he said that this is necessary. They have already escaped. They are not a threat, so there is nothing to do. Val asks him to comply with her order, but he tells her why a mere human gives orders to a god. According to Val, he is stronger than an Avenger, and there are gods among the Avengers, which means Bob is all-powerful and should not receive any orders from her. Upon going downstairs, Bucky puts on his arm, and Alexei said that they are like a group. They must find a solution. Each one said what they disliked, and in the end, Yelena silences them and tells them that they lost Bob. Valentina has already won, and none of them will be able to be a hero with all the deaths they have caused. Each goes their own way, and Alexei follows Yelena, while Sentry remained with his doubts. He said he didn't like his hair, or that it had been dyed. He didn't like anything, nor did he like his missions. He is a superior being and doesn't have to obey her demands. Valentina tries to kill him, but Bob starts to choke her. But when he was going to end her life, Mel presses the button and saves her. Both escape, and Mel asks for a raise. Now they must start from scratch and look for a more suitable candidate, but they didn't realize that Bob was alive, and the Void takes control. Alexei chases after his daughter and asks her to stop. She tells him that she is fed up with all this. She recently lost her sister, and he wasn't there to support her. All this is difficult. She worked non-stop to forget her sorrows. And when she returns home, her home is empty, and she usually drowns her sorrows in alcohol. Alexei apologizes for leaving her, but it wasn't easy for him either. He loves her, and she tells him that she feels alone and doesn't know how to continue. Besides, she always remembers her first kill in the Red Room, and tells him that when he sees her, he doesn't see her flaws, but the good things she did when she was a child. Everywhere she went, she spread her happiness and made everyone happy. Also, when she was in the soccer team, she used to play as a goalkeeper. Despite not being good and not liking to run, she did this to protect her friends and win the game. At that moment, something was in the sky. The void moves a single finger and turns people into shadows. Thousands upon hundreds fall in its attacks, and at that moment, the void sends a pilot into the void. This causes a helicopter to crash and fall into rubble. The Thunderbolts join forces to save the civilians. First were Alexei and Yelena, then Bucky, Ghost, and finally US Agent. The group unites and the people congratulate them and thank them for the support they gave. At that moment, a piece of rubble almost falls on a girl, but Alexei saves her. But just like that, the void eliminates her. To stay safe, the group decides to hide in a building, but Yelena, knowing she has no other choice, decides to enter the void. The void agrees with her and tells her that she was always right about the void. It's something we can't get rid of. Alexei, seeing this, starts to cry. But Yelena wasn't dead. She was in the void, a prison of memories and pain, where every problem that torments us still lives. Yelena remembers Anya's death and tries to interfere, but she is unsuccessful. This scene repeats over and over until she manages to break the wall and enters another memory. The time the governess ordered them to assemble their guns. The first to finish did not receive punishment, while the rest were whipped, and Yelena hugs her younger self. But upon turning around, she sees that Bob was in the memories. He tries to enter but makes a mistake, and enters another past memory in which Yelena was drinking to not be sad. The Thunderbolts wanted to return, but Bucky said it was a bad idea. Maybe they would die. Walker tells them that when he touched Bob, he entered that place. So maybe they will survive. Returning to Yelena, she wanted to talk to Bob and asks him to stop. He was in his old room and he didn't know what was happening. He tells her that his second personality, the Void, is in control. This being is invincible and he doesn't know how to stop it. This room is the most beautiful memory he has. The rest only reminds him of the harm he experienced. His father used to hit him. Bob defended his mother, but his father continued to hurt them. And Yelena apologizes to him and tells him that it's too late. Besides, she promises to get him out of here and stop the Void. At that moment, the Void appears and tries to attack them. This second personality suffocates them. But in this place they cannot die, so the pain will be eternal. The rest of the Thunderbolts appear and save Yelena. She is happy that they are here. Each of them went through their own hell except for Bob. He had a good life. The only way out is by escaping these rooms and entering the ugliest places in Bob's mind. First, they hit his father, then they fight against Chicken Bob. It turns out that when he was involved with drugs, he used to work as this. Finally, they arrive at the laboratory where they used to experiment on him. The scientists said, a long time ago, a group of scientists approached him and told him that they could help him with his problems and bring out the best version of himself, overcome his adversities and keep him safe. But he was used. The Void appears and stops the Thunderbolts. Bob asks him to stop. The Void tells him that he is weak. Now he was going to take charge. Besides, he will never be a hero. It's best if he leaves. Bob fights against his dark version, but this is what he wanted. The group realizes the Void's plans, and Yelena manages to free her bonds. After doing the impossible, she hugs Bob and asks him to calm down. Everything will be alright. They are here to support him, and no, don't tell me this part is because the power of love wins. No, it's not. Bob is a victim of his past. And it's the most beautiful part of this whole movie because all of us have at some point felt weak, alone, gone through hell. And the most beautiful solution they could give us was a warm hug. Anyway, after so much sentimentality, everything returns to normal. But Bob didn't know what was happening, and Yelena asks him if everything was all right. At that moment, Valentina Allegra de Fontaine and Alexei wanted to kill her, or maybe break a few bones. Bob asks him not to do it. She enters a press conference where she presents the team as the new Avengers, which the firm has been secretly working on, and hopes that they will become a force for good. Everyone smiles. Yelena dances her butt off for them. The movie ends with the team accepting the title of the new Avengers.